What's it take to wow your customers? Odds are your employees know. And we'll find out more about that today on Employee Experience by the Numbers. Here at Medallia, we talk a lot about customer experience, but it's also very important to recognize employee experience. And that's why I'm really excited to be joined today by Medallia's Executive Advisor on Employee Experience, Melissa Arronte. How's it going, Melissa?
Great, Andrew. Thank you for having me.
So let's begin with the rundown. We recently surveyed over 1,000 U.S. workers to understand their perspectives on satisfaction, enablement, and much more of the latest trends in the world of employee experience. We've got a great mix of employee, individual contributor, and manager, also mixes by age, company size, industry, and much more. This important link between good customer experience and good employee experience, but that can really mean a lot of things.
So often people think of it at a superficial level. It's just the correlation between a customer NPS and the employee engagement score. But it really goes to a much deeper level. Our employees came here to have an impact, and that's really what we want to understand, is their ability to serve their customers.
Does it surprise you at all that we see a strong link where managers themselves do know that it exists? I mean, look at this stat here where you've got 3 in 4 managers do understand this relationship. Why isn't it perfect right now if so many people recognize that you have to focus on both?
While managers recognize the link, they're unsure of where to invest. So when they look at things that affect employees, it's a myriad of things constantly changing throughout the workday. So they'll have hypotheses about where to invest, but they don't know where. So often they'll spread their time across many things. And really what we want to focus on is understanding which of those things in employee experience have the greatest impact on customer experience so that managers can focus on those things.
Some interesting stats that stand out to me are the large proportions of managers that say they need more information. There's more tools and processes that need to be in place in organizations, specifically around things that we see here around frustration with systems, policies, and processes that their employees face. Their employees not having an opportunity to voice their ideas enough on what would make it easier to do their best work, and also just obstacles that are being encountered too. There's a reason why there isn't always an investment in collecting this type of information. One of the biggest things that stand out when we've asked managers why they think their company isn't doing this well enough already, it's things like likelihood the company wouldn't take action on the information. This often gets deprioritized in the face of other initiatives, concern about cost, manager readiness, and many other things on here. What's your perspective on the actionability or the best practices to not just invest in a solution, but also make it a reality that actually drives change in an organization?
Managers are ready, willing, and able. They want this information and they want the ability to act on it. There are a number of companies that really do this well. And what they do is they allow the local teams to choose what they want to provide feedback on. And then they roll it up, for example, to a regional level. So that way we can see, is my team different compared to other teams in how we use these processes and systems? This way they can share best practices and share ideas. And then the corporate group analyzes it at a much higher level to see, are there systemic things that we can address more broadly? This is what we see as the most successful model with our clients.
Another thing that I thought was interesting that stood out from the data is managers want more than just the opportunity to listen to. Something that stood out to me on here was this idea that managers need enablement to act on what they hear from employees, escalating issues to those that could actually fix it, and recording actions really stood out to me as another important one.
Really, we just need to empower our employees and managers to raise up issues and solve them together at a local level.
A stat that I think really summarizes the case for a lot of this investment around employee experience is the nature in which employees are not enabled to their full potential today. Around a third of employees spending at least 10 hours per week, that's amazing. For a standard job, that's a quarter of their work week, is on what they would consider to be inefficient tasks or dealing with obstacles. And keep in mind, within that 37%, a lot of people are spending far more than 10 hours per week too. It could be half their week even or more. Is it surprising to you that a worker's efficiency level is so far below what the ideal would be right now?
This is such a great statistic, Andrew. And I think a lot of employees and managers encounter so many obstacles. It becomes so frustrating. It ends up appearing as rudeness to customers. When we talk about just making this a better place to work, we're just creating something that any workplace can replicate, right? Free coffee or lunches or, yoga breaks. I mean, things that are nice, but easily replicated. We want employees who came here because they want to deliver on the promise we've made to our customers. And we attract them by empowering them to deliver that and showing us where they're facing obstacles, not by offering them free coffee.
100%. And very often, I think organizations try to understand the drivers for job choice at the time of an exit interview when an employee leaves. What we had the opportunity to ask for the first time in this study that I thought was amazing was asking employees who are currently happy in their job and aren't looking elsewhere, what's keeping you satisfied? And to my surprise, at least, something that really stood out is that pay and benefits are important, but not nearly as important as many of these other aspects of the daily experience of working that rank towards the top. You look on here, the most commonly cited things: job convenience, liking the people I work with, number 2, and very close to being number 1, far ahead of many of these other things that might be assumed as the bigger drivers around not being able to find pay that's better anywhere else, the status or the prestige or the title of the job, and many of the other things that, of course, they're important in many people's eyes, but where they rank is so surprising to me on here. Did this surprise you?
It makes perfect sense to me, and it's excellent that we're highlighting it here. They tell you it's the day-to-day, it's the people I work with, it's what I get to accomplish. That's why I stay. The other is really asking, what did you get when you went to another company? And that's the pay, benefits, schedule, that sort of thing. This is what we want to work on before they give notice.
So, Melissa, I'm so glad we had the opportunity to chat more about a lot of these findings and for me to hear firsthand from you the perspective on what brands can do about it in order to get ahead. We do have a lot more information in this report for those interested by checking out and clicking at the link below. Before we wrap up for today, though, we do have one other segment, and it's time for our Outliers.
Outlier alert.
So our Outlier segment is a selection from each research report of one data point that I would say surprises or bucks the trend the most. And something that I thought was really kind of interesting, a little bit of a spicy stat, is the very large percent of employees that are looking for new jobs on company time of their current job. The number 60%, so more than half of people that are seeking jobs elsewhere are essentially taking away their capacity or their ability to even do their current job today on time spent participating in recruiting elsewhere. Is this surprising to you? What do we take and what do we do about it?
We can see this sort of thing by how they're taking their time off. Are they taking it as quickly as they earn it, indicating that they're avoiding the job or job searching? That's just one of many signals we could use to help flag to a manager that this employee could use some more support. It's a chance to reach out, connect with them, and understand how things are going for them and how we could better support them or give them more development or vary their tasks or whatever else it might be that would make them have more of an impact at work.
Okay, so now it's time to round it off. We spoke about the often underappreciated link between CX and EX and how managers need the opportunity to hear from their employees in order to enable them to do their best work. We also spoke about how actionability and organizational readiness is a key part beyond just collecting feedback on its own. We then spoke about employee satisfaction and what keeps them in their current job without looking elsewhere. And then finally, we talked a bit around some of the risks that come from dissatisfied employees, especially those that are searching for jobs elsewhere. Thank you again so much for joining us today. And Melissa, thank you so much for sharing your expert insights on this research. We have plenty of other topics in this report on things like work from home, Gen Z in the workforce, and many other topics. If you want to learn more, please click the link below. Thanks, folks. We'll see you next time.